Hey, okay, welcome. It's November the 4th, Monday, and we are week 2 of our gratitude adjustment. I'm super excited about this boot camp. I know I've shared that with you guys tons, but gratitude is one of the things that has genuinely changed my life for the better. And I watch it in so many other people's lives do miracles. I mean, truthfully, I feel like they're just, gratitude is such a miracle worker. It really shifts your perspective. We talked last week. If you forgot to watch last week's call, make sure you go back and watch last week's recorded call. It's up on the YouTube channel. You can just go to the playlist for the recorded calls and watch it. But we talked about the benefits of gratitude and some easy practical ways to build it in, and really focusing on what happens when you don't feel grateful and you're looking at a crappy situation and you don't know how to get your mindset in a better, higher place. Shifting that perspective and start intentionally hunting the good, right? Like how many wonderful, it's like I always think of it as like license plate bingo, right? I'm a big fan of turning things I don't want to do into a game. Like when I have to clean out my car, I make a game out of it where every time I leave my car, I grab 3 things. I have a dirty car problem or a messy car problem. It's not dirty, but I make a game. Or like every time I go upstairs, I have to take something from downstairs upstairs, and every time I come downstairs, I have to take something that's upstairs downstairs. Yes, I understand it's a little psychotic, but if you play little fun games like that, you can make your life a little more joyful. And so same with gratitude. It's kind of like license plate bingo. Every time you get in stinking thinking, you start turning it around into, where can I find gratitude in this? How can I find 5 things that are, I almost said 50, that seems excessive, friends. 5 things that are going really well, 3 things that are going really well. It's like, counting sort of thing. It's therapeutic. It's really good for your mind. So that was last week's call. This week's call is on morning process. And so I've spoken about this a lot. I've written about it in my book. I think that the way you start your morning is typically the way the rest of your day goes. And you can always, and I always want to put like, one of those little asterisks, little stars at the back or at the end of the sentence and say, remember, you can redeem your day at any time in your day. You can redeem your day at 10 p.m. That is up to you. At any moment, you can choose to turn things around. That is your choice. Sometimes we want to wallow, and like Yuvia, what you said at the beginning of the call, you just wanted to not show up and you just wanted to be like, fine, I'm gonna sit in my funk. It's choice, right? Like you are a free woman and that is your choice. But reminding you of who you are and reminding you that you're better than that. I feel like that's what this group is for, right? That's what accountability is for. That's what having a coach is for. And so I feel like at any point you can redeem your day, but the easiest time to redeem it is before it needs to be redeemed, right? So let's redeem it right when we wake up. And so I'm going to kind of give you my little rundown of what I do every single morning. And also I always like to again, like with the asterisks and the caveats or whatever, I'm not perfect, so don't I had somebody tell me, well, I just can't do that every day like you, Danielle. And I'm like, girlfriend, trust me, there are days when I don't want to do it, and B, I don't do it. But every single time I don't do it, I end up with stinking thinking by like 8:15 in the morning, and I'm fed up to here and I'm done. And I'm like, girl, it is too early in the morning to have this poor attitude. So we need to redeem the day and get going. So I feel like if you start it off great, it helps. It gives you a little bit of a buffer to give yourself some space to have a good day, to have a productive and a day that you can kind of put your head on the pillow at the end of the night and say, yeah, we did good today. We did good today. And so first and foremost, if I can encourage you, and I know I always get lots and lots of eye rolls for this and lots of blahs, and I get it, I really do, but get up before the rest of the people in your house get up. You really need that time to yourself to be able to pour into your cup, for cliched words, pour into your cup before you have to pour out to everybody else. You're worth that. I know as moms, it's really difficult, especially certain seasons in your life. Um, Little babies, toddlers, that kind of thing, where it feels darn near impossible to get going, right? Before everybody else. But the more days that you can do that, the more better days you're going to have. So the first things first is you got to get you got to get a good morning routine going and figure out what time do you need to get up so that you have time to give yourself a little bit of time and love before you have to start pouring out to everybody else. Because if you don't, what ends up happening, and for me, this was my story. I woke up when my kids got up. So guess what I am needing? My eyes open, and I am needed from literally the time my eyes open until their eyes closed, or really even after that, because after that I'm cleaning up the house and resetting for the next day. So I never had one single moment where I felt like I was just being given to. I was being fed, I was being nourished. And so that was kind of my catalyst for wanting to start implementing this. I always hesitate to say what time I wake up because I feel like it scares people. I'm not trying to tell you that you have to wake up at the same time as me. I feel like you need to figure that time out for yourself. I would backtrack based on your family's rhythms and figure out, like, so for me, I know that my kids need to be up and getting ready for school at 6:45. I know that my workout right now is 45 minutes, meaning I have to start my workout at 6 a.m. If I don't, it's not going to get done before my kids go to school. And so I need to figure out how much time do I want to give myself before that workout. So for me right now, that time is 50 minutes. So my alarm clock is set for 5 a.m. And then I would love to tell you that I never hit the snooze, but the reality is I usually hit the snooze probably once. And when I hit the snooze, I'm waking up, but I'm not getting up, if that makes sense. And then by the time the alarm goes off again, 8 minutes later, I'm moving. I'm like, all right, we'll turn it off, and we get up and we get going. So then I do, your morning bathroom routine, brush your teeth, take your medicine, do whatever you're going to do, use bathroom. I go in and make my energize, and then I sit down at a spot. So I have a spot, and I always encourage people to have a spot because I feel like having a dedicated space for something puts you in the mind frame to do the thing you went to do. Oh, yay. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Do the thing you meant to do when you get to that spot, right? So if you have, there's a lot of psychology around making your bed the place you sleep, not the place you play video games, not the place you eat your snacks, not the place you do other things, the place you go to sleep, right? So that way, when you go, especially if you have trouble sleeping, right? When you go to bed, your mind and your heart are triggered for this is the activity that fits this location, this environment. When I go into the kitchen, what do you think I want to be doing in there? I want to be eating or making food, right? Because that is the environment in which that activity is done. Same for your morning process. I would try to find a spot. Sometimes it's a chair, sometimes it's a side of the couch, where when you get to that spot, you've done that activity so often in that spot that it feels like when I sit down, these are the things that I'm meant to do at this spot. So I'd encourage you to find a spot. So I go to my spot, and I have all my stuff there, right? I have my Bible. I have 2 different journals. I have a gratitude journal, and then I have the journal that I take notes in while I'm reading my Bible. I have that. I have whatever devotion or book or whatever that I'm reading that goes there. I also have a personal development book that I'm plodding through. It's taking forever, but I'm moving along through a personal development book. And so all of that is stacked up on the little shelf right beside where I sit down. So I have my Energize, I sit down, and I start doing that. And so there are several different ways that lots of experts have said, these are the things you need to do when you sit down to have your quiet time or have your me time or whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. But the things that have always worked for me are my gratitude journal. And it is nothing fancy. I did not go on Amazon. I did not buy a gratitude journal. It looks like this, but a little bit bigger. And I write the date at the top of the page. And then I write 3 things that I'm grateful for from the previous day. And that is the first thing that I do. So even before I read my Bible, even before I do anything else, that's the first thing that I do. And I've done it lots of different ways. I've done it where I've done scripture first or meditation first or prayer first or blah, 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 whatever. This is just what works for me, because for me, gratitude puts my heart in a posture of getting out of my own crap, right? Like rising above it and looking at the good. And I feel like it shifts my perspective so that when I start doing the other activities that I'm doing, I am ready to go for those activities. So I do my gratitude first. And like I said, it's very simple. It is nothing fancy. We talked last week about really working on why you're grateful for that thing, not just listing out like 3 things I'm grateful for: my husband, my health, and my kids. And then tomorrow, guess what else I'm grateful for? My husband, my health, and my kids. No, like if you're grateful for your husband, why? What did he do? What about him? What piece of his character? Like, I am grateful for Matthew because he provides for our family. He does this, he does this. And it starts triggering those good emotions in you. You start really figuring out how to turn. And I, again, playing the silly mind games that I like to play with myself, sometimes I intentionally like to pick things to focus on, to be grateful for, about people that I'm not very grateful for at that moment. It kind of gives me a little bit of a challenge to push myself to be grateful for that specific person. If it's a challenging coworker, if it's a child that's really getting under my skin, if it's an organization that I'm a part of that I'm really frustrated with, I start really ruminating. I don't know. There's a word there. I start really dwelling on what it is about that thing or that person. And so that's what I do. And then I go into my time with scripture. So I've got a reading plan that I'm working through. And then I finish up with just a few minutes, usually, and this is why the book is taking me forever and a day to read, because I really don't read it for that long, but 5 to 10 minutes of reading personal development. And so the thing that I always encourage people with the personal development aspect, especially Christians who are like, well, I read a devotional. And I get it, like 100%, 100%. I think that you should be spending time with your creator and being focused on what he has to say to you. But I also think that there are a lot of really, really wise people that God has imparted really great wisdom into. And some of that stuff really helps me with my business. Some of that stuff really helps me with my interpersonal relationships and with my marriage and with coworkers and with other coaches on my team and with marketing myself in a space. Hi, Charlotte. And marketing myself in a space where maybe I get frustrated on Instagram and Facebook and I don't want to be a part of it, And so it's important for me to also receive those messages and that information when I read personal development. It's not just to feel good, right? I think if we focus on personal development in this space of like, we close the chapter and we're like, oh, I just feel so empowered, feel so good about myself. You're kind of cheapening out, right? If you read it more like a textbook and like a class where you are taking notes and where you are finding things in that piece of reading that you can get out and directly implement, I think you'll see a lot better results with personal development. I take it more like a course instead of just something else to read. So I have always encouraged, especially Beachbody coaches, we are encouraged to read personal development at all times, because to me, your business grows when you are personally growing. But I think we do ourselves a disservice when we try to get through the books, right? Like, okay, well, if I read, 1 book a month, that means I've read 12 books in a year and I'm 12 books better off than I was before. Well, yeah, but if you're 12 books in and you can't remember any of the things that you've read or learned or you haven't implemented anything, you might as well be reading fiction, right? Like, who cares what John C. Maxwell or some of the other like really great names in personal development and leadership have to say if you aren't doing any of it, and you're not taking it to heart and implementing it. So that's the time that I spend there. And then the last thing that I always do is that I always pray. So you can call it meditation, you can call it whatever, but I pray. And I spend time with my creator. All of that takes me about 50 minutes. If I'm in a crunch, all of that can take me all of 5 minutes, right? It's a couple of activities. I can shortcut the things. Do I get as much out of it? No. But it's no different than doing a workout, right? So hi, Mason. So if you a 5-minute workout is better than a no minute workout. A 5-minute morning process is better than a no-minute morning process. Are you going to get more out of a longer workout, even if you're going at a slower pace and doing all this, really restorative work? Yeah, you're going to get a lot more out of it. Kind of the same thing with a morning process, right? You get a lot more out of it when you spend more time in it. But that's kind of the highlights of what I wanted to chat about for morning process. And then I go into doing my workout and I get on with my day. But I've really found that spending that time pouring into me before literally everybody in the universe feels like they have to have a part of me. And it's the easy, I talk about this a lot with other habits, right? The easiest things to do are also the easiest things not to do. It's just as easy for me to walk in the kitchen and fill up my water bottle as it is for me to walk in the kitchen and grab a can of soda. It literally takes the same amount of effort. A water bottle and a soda can are sitting right side by side. There's no difference in energy expended, right? So make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do. And we've had lots of calls, and I would encourage you to go back through the call recordings about making it matter to you, because the reality is you're not going to do the things that you need to do unless they matter to you. You're not going to read the books, you're not going to do the gratitude, you're not going to pray, you're not going to do your workout, you're not going to eat your veggies, you're not going to drink your water unless it matters to you. And if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter, and that's okay. But kind of like what we were talking about before I turned the recording on with mindfulness is a tricky thing, because we think that, like, well, I'm being mindful, so therefore I am making all the healthiest decisions you can possibly be making. But the reality is your mindfulness, you can absolutely 100% be mindful about the things that you're not doing. I know that I'm not doing my gratitude, or I'm not reading personal development, or I'm not spending time with my creator. I'm not going to church. I'm not getting on these weekly calls. I'm making conscious decisions that these are the things that I'm not doing, or I am doing. I am going to the fridge at 9 p.m. and getting ice cream. I am shortchanging myself in my workouts. I am choosing to scroll Instagram instead of whatever else I need to be doing. You know what I mean? But with those mindful activities, you need to remember that you are willingly accepting the consequences of your decisions, whether that's a positive consequence, one that increases your life, your productivity, your weight loss, your success, whatever it is your outcome you're desiring is, or you're accepting the negative consequence, the step backward in your health, the, mental fog. You choose to eat junk food, you're willingly accepting the mental fog that comes with overeating sugar. And if that's okay with you, don't come complaining to anybody about, oh, I don't feel good. Well, yeah, sis, you shouldn't feel good. You ate 6 pieces of pie last night. Like, you should feel like crap. I think I shared with you guys, maybe I didn't. And I'm going to dime Davin out. Poor kid. He's going to be an adult and find my YouTube channel and be like, Mom, you shared all the things. But Halloween weekend, he had a jujitsu movie night, and they played all these games, and they got like full-size candy bars and all the things, right? Homeboy ate 3 full-size candy bars at the event. 3. And I work at the jujitsu gym. Also, I'm really good friends with the owner who was running the event. I chose not to help run the event because I wanted to have a night to myself. And I was like, Noelle, you let him eat 3? She was like, he is 10 years old. He gets to accept the consequences of his stupid choices. And our family motto is play stupid games, win stupid prizes, just so you know, if you ever needed to know my family's motto. And I was like, you're right. So I was texting with Matt. I was like, and I told him about it. And I was like, it's definitely wrong that I hope he pukes, right? Like, I hope he pukes. I hope he feels like absolute trash, because he should. Like, and of course, that stupid 10-year-old boy did not feel like trash at all. He didn't, he wasn't hyped up. He just, no different than if he ate 3 pieces of broccoli. Like, his internal health and his long-term health will suffer for sure. But there are no immediate consequences for him. And I was kind of bummed, because I want him to feel the repercussions of his decision. The problem is, as we get older, that lag time between when we made the decision and when the consequences happen, as we get older, I feel like it shortens and shortens and shortens and shortens. It's like drinking alcohol, right? Like, when I was 20, I was about to say 19. We don't need to dime me out like that. But when I was 21, because definitely only legal drinking age, I could go all day. I mean, I was a stellar student and I drank like a fish. Like I mean, Angela knows because we went to college together, but hard party girl, hard party girl. And now, if I have more than one truly, I'm like, oh, I'm going to feel that in the morning. And I do, I feel like trash. And it's funny because all of those poor decisions in my past have accumulated into a very short lag time in my consequence feeling. But the same goes, obviously that all the same stuff that happens with your nutrition and your fitness and all of that, your physical health also comes along with your mental health and stuff like that. I feel like when I was 20 and 19 and 23 and whatever, 25, didn't matter. Um, I mean, I didn't feel any negative repercussions from not paying attention to my mental health, not giving myself time with God. I just was living my life and going on about my business, right? Didn't matter to me until it did matter to me. And now my lag time between when I choose to not engage in the behavior specifically in the morning that I know I need to be attentive to, I feel that very quickly. Like again, like I said, probably by 8:15 when I am done. I am done with people. I am done with humanity. I am done with everybody on the internet. I want to just be done. Whereas if I give myself the time to really be poured into, I do feel like my tolerance for loving others and being grateful for my life and what I've been given, the tolerance for that is way, way higher. So, my encouragement is I can give you a system that works, but the reality is it's trial and error kind of thing. You have to figure out what works for you. The book that really helped me develop my own personal system was Miracle Morning. I feel like it's a really great starter book if you're struggling with a morning routine. Hal Elrod, who wrote that book, is a fantastic human being, number one. But number two, he really drills down it into a very small, he calls them savers. That's what I was writing down earlier, savers. So SAVERS. And what is his? It's silence. So whether that's prayer or meditation, and then affirmations, or he says 5 minutes, but reminding yourself what is true. And then visualization. So how do you see this day going? How do you see this event? How do you see your life, whatever it is? Exercise, reading, and then he says scribing, but writing, so journaling or whatever. That's his encouragement. And I have done that. I've even at one point I ran several groups throughout the years about Miracle Morning and had people reading the book and going through the process. I had a tracker. I did the Savers method for many, many, many years. And it's a really great method for getting your morning routine down. I just kind of ended up making it my own and doing one that really works for me in the morning. But I wanted to share that with you guys this morning. Like I've said many times, oftentimes these calls are reflective of the things that I hear from clients throughout the week in nightly accountability or behind the scenes when people are messaging or texting, and kind of the feedback that needs to be given group wide instead of just one-on-one and individual, because I think most of the time people's individual needs are often the needs of what's reflective of what's going on in the group and the attitudes and the hearts of those who are in our boot camp. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Hopefully you were able to take away things that will really help and make your mornings better so the rest of your day can go better too. So